I don't have anything cool to say at the beginning of this one either because it's a serious topic this evening. It's the Hatening. I am in our West Coast studios right now. Guess what we're going to talk about tonight? It's drinking and driving, right? And the reason that we're talking about this is because we have been drinking in the studio and have decided that we have reached the limit in order to drive safely and are thus finding other ways of getting home, which is the responsible thing to fucking do in any situation. And I know that this might be fucking heavy, you know, if you've been affected by drunk driving in any way. So, like, here's a little content warning up top. I'm not going to get too fucking heavy with it, but, you know, I'm going to talk about drinking and driving, what happened. So, if you're going to get triggered or if this makes you uncomfortable, like, we'll see you in 3 days, my dude. But yeah, okay, so now that they're gone, we can actually talk about this. But no, like, this shit's fucked up and it's fucking serious and it's fucking real, right? You know, and let's be fucking honest. Like, we all have driven when we were too intoxicated to do so, right? And I'm not going to get into, like, all this argument about, like, you know, if I'm an alcoholic, I can drink more than the normal person, thus I can drink more and still be able to operate a vehicle, you know what I mean? Like, or there's a lot of, like, discourse that surrounds, like, the act of drinking and driving, or rather driving after having a few drinks. And you can go back and forth forever as to, like, you know, legality stuff and, like, motor function stuff and whatever. Trust me, like, someone in my position socially, like, I've heard every fucking excuse as to why you can still drive after having so many drinks or shots or doing whatever drugs, and it's all kind of fucked. But I mean, let's be real, like, we've all done it, you know. I'm not proud of it. I'm sure you aren't either. It's not something to fucking brag about or, like, you know, draw much attention to, but, like, for whatever reason, either just, like, out of ignorance or out of just, like, necessity, like, we all have, like, objectively drank too much and then got behind the wheel. Some of us have paid the price, some of us fucking haven't, right? And so it's just something that you have to fucking deal with, or something that you really have to navigate, like, in modern society, because unfortunately, even if you don't drink, you still have to deal with the possibility of, like, other people on the road being fucking drunk, you know? So, like, if you're a fucking motorist, if you're a cyclist, if you're walking, like, there's a very real possibility that you're going to encounter someone who's intoxicated behind the wheel. And it's scary, and I don't want this to be, like, a thing. You know how, like, there are just, like, anxiety-inducing aspects of living just in general, where, like, if you hyper-focus on it, you're just going to be miserable because you're always going to be looking over your shoulder for, like, the active shooter at the supermarket or the drunk driver down your fucking street, you know, or the guy who's just had enough and decides to bring a gun into work, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that you have to deal with. Like, people do drink and drive, and it fucking sucks, right? And like I said, like, we've all done it, and it's scary. Like, it does suck. Like, you know, personally, I don't really know anyone who has been, like, really fucked by drinking and driving, like, in terms of, like, dying or, like medically speaking, right? Like, I know a lot of people who've gotten, like, DUIs and stuff, and I don't know, man, like, if you get a fucking DUI, like, you gotta fucking deal with that shit, right? Like, that's not really, like, an instance where you get into, like, legal trouble, and I'm gonna have a lot of, like, sympathy for you. Like, it's kind of just like you rolled the dice on that one, my dude. But, like, I don't know, like, the only real, like, personal thing I have to, like, the negative, like, the very negative effects of drinking and driving is that, like, one of my dad's best friends, like, died when I was very young, and I was, like, a toddler or even just, like, a baby maybe, from, like, drinking and driving, you know? I don't know if it's one of those things where, like, I don't know if that's, like, the official cause of the, like, the car accident that they died in, but, like, the motherfucker drank all the time, so it's kind of like a given that he was drunk as shit, you know what I mean? And, like, that's really all I have. But, like, the shit's fucking scary and it's fucking real, right? And, like, even if, like, the deterrent for you to, like, not drink and drive isn't that, like, you're afraid you're gonna crash and kill someone, which is very fucking possible, like, I mean, you don't want to get caught up legally with, like, a DUI, because, like, that shit will fucking ruin your life. Like, it really will. And, like, say what you want about the police state and about, like, the incarceral system and, like, you know what I mean, all that stuff, but, like, motherfuckers should not be behind the wheel after they've had a certain amount of drinks. And if, like, the one thing that's keeping you from doing that is, like, you know, going to jail or, like, getting fucked with by the police and being just, like, nickeled and dimed to death over like the legal fees involved with the fucking DUI. Like, I don't really give a shit about that. Like, if it keeps your drunk ass out of your fucking car, I'm a fucking alcoholic. Like, I have driven drunk more than I ever should have. My friends have driven drunk more than we ever should have. Either being a couple drinks over and it's like kind of murky, to straight up being fucking wasted. You know what I mean? Like, it fucking sucks. There's nothing scarier than like getting in a car and then realizing that the person driving is like too drunk to drive, right? In the same way that it's like fucking scary when like you're hanging out with people and they're wasted and then they just fucking dip out and you see that their car isn't there anymore. That happened to me not too long ago and it was fucking terrifying, right? But like, on like a personal level, like I've never gotten a DUI. I've never really gotten fucked with by the cops for like being intoxicated in general, although I have been pulled over while I was drunk and or like actively smoking weed, and it's fucking scary. But like with my job, like I would lose my fucking job. I drive for work, so I can't get a fucking DUI. But like on the real, like when I was younger, I used to not really give a shit about drinking and driving because like as long as I wasn't blackout drunk, I figured it would be fine because I'm only going from here to there. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like the vibe that everyone has when they're younger. It's like, I've had a couple drinks, but I'm only going a couple blocks. You know what I mean? Or like, there's no cops on this road and I won't hit anything, blah, blah, blah. But like, dude, like that shit, like it fucked me up. Like, cause I used to do that all the time. Like I would go to the bar and drink and I would get drunk. I wouldn't get fucking wasted. And then I would like drive home, like obviously over the limit, but I could still fucking operate my vehicle. And like I wasn't driving far. I had all these excuses as to why I would do it, as I'm sure that like you did or you do, you know what I mean? And if you do like drink and drive, like I'm not going to say that like it's cool, but I will say that like I'm not going to immediately like demonize you and call you like a piece of shit, because like I get it, like people do drink and drive, like you shouldn't, but like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not here to like make you feel bad for stuff that you do. Does that make sense? Like I'm not trying to like condone it, but I'm also not trying to like, I don't know. But anyway, like my personal shit, like the last time I had more than like 2 or 3 beers and got behind the wheel, it was kind of a while ago. Like, and that is true. Like like if you know me in the real world, or like I think I talk about it on the show, but obviously like I'm an alcoholic. Like I do drink a lot, like I binge drink a lot, but I don't fucking drink and drive. Like I'll drink and walk, I'll drink and ride my bike, like I'll drink and get in anyone else's vehicle, you know what I mean? But I don't fucking drink and drive anymore, and I haven't for a long time, because like this was a couple years ago and I had work. It was when I was still working like a lot of different jobs. And so like I had like a nighttime gig and I got off work at, like call it like 9 or 10 o'clock. And all the homies were at a bar that we don't normally hang out at because it was someone's birthday / going away party, right? They were moving out of Baltimore. And so I went to this bar, and this bar is notorious for like pouring some of like the stiffest drinks you're going to get in town, right? And if you live in Baltimore, if you live around where I hang out, you know exactly the cash only bar I'm talking about. But we went there and we were hanging out, and I had like 2, maybe 3 drinks, and it's all I had drank like that day, right? So I like by no means was like wasted, but I was very obviously like over the legal limit, right? But again, that comes down to this whole like I'm an alcoholic, so 3 beers to me doesn't affect you the same way, you know what I mean? Like that was up until this point like my logic for like drinking and getting behind the wheel of the vehicle. And so when we went to leave, like we only had like a couple blocks to go, so I had no issues with just kind of like rolling the car basically like to the house. But a friend of ours who was also at this call it a party was like, yo, like can you give me a ride? It's like a couple blocks away from where you guys live. Like I don't want to walk home. We're like, yeah, of course, whatever. So they get in the back seat. So it's myself and my partner at the time, and then our friend in the back seat of the car. And we start driving towards our friend's apartment. And I make this right-hand turn on just like a normal-ass fucking street, right? And all of a sudden, I just whoop, whoop from behind me. And I was like, fuck. Like, legit, I looked at my partner, was like, yo, I'm going to fucking jail. And so I pulled over the car, and they start freaking out because they think that I have, like, drugs on me. You know what I mean? Because this was still, like, kind of, like, after I was, like, doing drugs all the time. So, like, it wouldn't have been weird for me to be like, oh, yeah, I'm secretly on, like, a fucking relapse bender right now, and I have a bunch of fucking drugs. But I didn't. But I just knew that I was over the fucking limit, and if I got breathalyzed, I'm fucking getting locked up for the night, you know what I mean? And so I looked at them and I was like, yo, like, I'm about to get fucking arrested. Like, I took my wallet. I took my ID out of my wallet and gave them my wallet. And I, like, gave them my fucking phone and was just like, they're gonna fucking tow the car. Like, whatever. Hold on to all my shit. I'll call my fucking cell phone from jail. Like, you just answer it. I'll tell you where to send the money to. Or, like, you know, use my phone to get me a fucking Uber or whatever the fuck. But, like, this was going to happen. So my partner's like freaking the fuck out. Our friend is wasted in the back seat, doesn't really know what's going on, right? Which is kind of for the best. And so the cop like jumps out of the car immediately. Didn't even fucking seem like they like ran my plate. So I was like, oh fuck, they're not fucking around. Like, I must have swerved. I must have ran something that I didn't see. Like, they're just going to pull me out and just fucking throw me on the ground, right? So I roll down the window and I have my fucking ID in between my fingers. And I'm just like, you know, waiting for them. And they roll up and lean in and like looks in and shines the light on us. And again, like, my girlfriend's like, or my partner at the time was all like puffy-eyed from like kind of freaking out. I'm drunk, but not like wasted, and our friend is legit wasted in the backseat. And, you know, and so I'm like, what's up? And the guy just like looks at me and he's like, your taillight's out. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. You know, I said like, oh, fuck, okay. And I tried not to like breathe my breath on him because I like had pretty much like taken a shot and then like walked out the door style. And so, like, I'm like, oh, shit, okay. And then he just, like, looks at me again and, like, looks at everyone in the car and was just like, go get that taken care of. And then just, like, smacked on the top of the car and then, like, walked away. And, like, I was so fucking freaked out when this happened. Like, you know, because I was, like, convinced I was going to get fucking locked up. And rightly so, I would have deserved to do it. You know what I mean? And I didn't. And so, like, I fucking, like, just sat there and was, like, fucking freaking out, like, kind of shaking style because it was, like, not my life flashed before my eyes, but it really was like, oh fuck, like this could have been it for me. You know what I mean? Like, this would have like changed my life. It made it very difficult for me to really do anything from that point on, because like it really does set you back when you get that fucking DUI. And since that night, like, you know, I swear to God, like I don't have more than like 2, maybe 3 beers when I get behind the wheel of a vehicle. Because even if like I'm not like wasted enough to like crash the car or like nod out while I'm driving, like I'm still technically legally drunk enough to fucking have to deal with all that stuff, and it's just not worth it. And that's the only real advice I'll give to you, dearest listener, when it comes to drinking and driving. Like, you know, everybody reacts to their addictions, to their intoxication, whatever, is like differently and independently. And I'm not going to sit here and argue with you over like the semantics of like your usage and like what you can and can't do. I really don't care. I'm not interested in that. But I will say, like, you know, as your friend, as someone who cares about you, like, you really shouldn't have any reason to go to jail. And one of the easiest ways to go to jail is by drinking and driving. So like, get a fucking Uber, get someone to fucking pick you up, like walk, you know what I mean? There's a lot of alternatives to fucking running that risk, because eventually like you will fucking lose and you will, it's not worth it. Like, it really, like the court fees are not worth, like, you know, you dodging like a $35 Uber to get home tonight or tomorrow or whatever, especially on like holidays and shit. When the cops are out, don't fucking do it. Just don't do it. Just be safe. Please be safe. That's all I want. I want everyone to be safe and happy. You know, you don't want to fucking get into an accident. You don't want to get pulled over and have your life ruined. But that's the end of the episode. So thank you so much for listening. Andrew and I really do appreciate it. If you like the show, please subscribe. Please give us a good review. Wherever you listen to the podcast, it really takes 0 effort and helps us out more than you can ever imagine. If you like the show, please tell your friends. People have been doing that. We've been getting more listeners. It's fucking awesome. Thank you so much. If this is your first episode, what up, dude? You can find The Hatening on all social media platforms, and from there you can find the individual profiles of myself and super producer Andrew. Hit us up. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. And don't forget to tell your friends you love them.